Contract Training Mobile Application Part 8, Adding Items. This training session will not focus on physically tagging the assets. That will come at a later session. Today we're more focusing on adding the data into the actual app. So to add any item, you're going to click on Add, and it's going to give you three options: a generic asset, a filter unique asset, and a commodity. So we're going to click on the first one, which is a generic asset. And the first thing we need to do is enter in the scan code. So you can manually type that in, or you can click on the barcode tab and scan the number in. The next field is the alternate code. So if your company has any engravings, any type of unique numbering system or marking on the assets, this is where you type that information in here. If there's none, you leave that blank. The third tab is the serial number. Very, very important that we type that in there. Once we're complete, we're going to click the red arrow and we're going to move to the next screen, which is a template. So templates are created every time we add a new asset into the system. So if we're adding, for instance, a gas saw and we typed in gas saw, it'll pull up everything that we've entered. The reason this is nice is that you don't have to physically add the different fields. It auto-populates it for you. So in this case, if we wanted a still TS800 gas saw, we've added it before, so we're going to click on the template, and if you notice, it auto-populates the manufacturer, the model, and the description. If the asset you're adding doesn't have a template, then we would just go down to the bottom right and click the arrow. And now we'd have to auto-populate the information. So the first thing is the image. So you can click on it, use the camera, it'll pull up the information, it'll pull up the camera, click on it, and you can then either retry it, hit OK, and it'll populate the image in there. The next thing is the manufacturer. So you can choose from the list if it's a specific manufacturer. If it's a manufacturer that's not in the system, top right, you're going to add that manufacturer into the system. Now, you don't have to put the office address. All you need is the name. We click the check mark, and it adds the new manufacturer and populates it under the manufacturer name. The next thing is the model. So you want to make sure that we put in whatever the model number is, and then a description. In this case, it's going to be a gas saw. And then the asset group. So the asset group is predetermined by your company. It helps them to organize their assets so they can easily search and find specific assets within the groups. If you click on this, it'll have all the asset groups within the company. If you'll notice, the very top one is gas saw. You can always search asset groups and click on the appropriate one. What's really important is that the company will typically let you know what the asset groups are, and if there's an asset group not in the system, you need to contact your administrator because you can't add a new asset group from the mobile app. The next thing you want to do is the default location. You need to tell the system where the originating location is. Generally for companies, it's a warehouse, a yard, a head office. That again will be determined by your company. So you put that as the default location. Your current location is going to be where you are. The name of your job site, the name of your vehicle, whatever it is, you want to put that current location in there. Storage location can be a bin number, a shelf. That's really only applicable for warehousing when you're adding it there. For a job site or a vehicle in the field, you just generally leave that blank. It'll auto-populate your information in terms of your name. If you need to change it for whatever reason, you can. And then it's managed as an owned asset. If you click, it'll give you various options. most items will be owned. You're going to click on the check mark when all the information is correct, and it now added that specific asset into the system. So the next thing we're going to do is going to click on add again, and we're going to click on a Hilti asset. And again, what we're going to do is click on the barcode. The scan code populates. If there's an alternate code, type that in, and we're going to click on the arrow. So now it's asking for a serial number. This is very important because your Hilti account is linked to the on-track account. And when you type in the serial number of the asset, the Hilti asset, it'll auto-populate all the information. Now in this case, the demo site is not linked, so nothing will populate. If it was linked and you put in the serial number and the screen at the bottom, it would give you that asset information. You would click on that and it'll auto-populate it, and you continue with the rest of the process with the default location, current location, etc. So if the serial number doesn't populate, then you need to contact your system administrator because there might be an issue, or we just have to link the two accounts. But again, really the same process, just really important that the Hilti serial number populates. The last thing is a commodity. And so commodities are items where we don't actually tag each individual piece. We would actually just call it a commodity, basically. So the company wants to know that we've got 100 shovels in the company. I've sent 1 to various location, 5 to another, etc. And that's how we manage it. So the company will have a predetermined either a barcode booklet or a scan code booklet that they'll give you so you know what to use when it comes to adding commodities. And what I mean by that is when you click on commodity to add, again, we're not going to really scan the RFID tags. Your company will give you a predetermined barcode to use. In this case, we're just going to go to alternate code, add in the code that's appropriate to what we're adding, and we're going to click next. So same thing, we can click on an image if we like, manufacturer, in this case, we'll put that in. The model, let's say it's, put in the model number and a description. Let's say it's a 4x8 scaffolding, and then asset group, scaffolding, default location. Your current location might be a vehicle, a job site. Look for your location. And here's the most important part that differs from the assets. With commodities, it now asks you how many of this particular commodity we're adding to the system. In this case, we're adding 10 pieces of scaffolding 4x8 model 6786. So that's really important. It'll default to the person that's responsible. Again, managed as is typically owned. You're going to click on the check mark, and we've just added those 10 items, those commodities into the system. And that basically how you would add any type of asset or commodity using the mobile app. Generally, when you're adding assets, it's done usually at a warehouse, not generally in the field, but this at least gives you an overview if you have to do some adding of assets at your location.